Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Friday again, so it's time for another timelapse slash tutorial, I guess. So, as you can already see, I'm working really hard on the sketch, and I started out with a ruler and my blue pencils. And I am working on the perspective because I decided to go with a 3 point perspective. So, yay, that's fun. And it can be quite hard perspective. However, by practicing and learning and getting feedback, you learn so much about it. And I did some storyboard challenges. I didn't finish everyone, I'm sorry. However, I learned quite a lot already. So I'm sketching with my light blue pencil, and I just love to use those. I discovered them a little while back, and I am hopelessly in love with them. So that's why you see them usually in every video I'm posting. So that's the reason. And I am making the sketch with a light blue, and then I go over it with a darker blue to make the lines a bit more clearer. I like to use a lot of sketch lines, so it can get a bit messy if I don't darken one line that makes it the final line. So that's what you are seeing me do here. I'm actually not very fond of a lot of straight lines because I am not a big fan of rulers. However, if you want to pull that perspective off, you need those straight lines. I'm sorry. And this time I want to draw a moodier picture. This is another character. He doesn't have a name. He is rather new. And he has some strange red orangey wings, which you will see later in full color because I will work with gouache on this one. So let's see. And with gouache, I like to begin with a shadow layer. And the shadow layer helps me define the forms, but it also gives cohesion to the complete piece. If you go over it with a lighter color or with a watered down color, that blue will shine through, and you don't have the hard white showing up. It can be really harsh if you are not adding a bit of color, and it prevents me from staring at that white color and go, oh, so much white, I don't know what to do with it. So that's what I'm basically doing with it. So I like to add a bit of darkness, and I usually use one tone for the shadows at first because I know I will be adding way more colors later, and to keep that cohesion in the piece. And now we almost start with mixing some pretty orange colors and working further on the piece. I like to do the background first because the background, I prefer the characters. That's the most fun part, I think. Or rain. Rain is also fun. But background is my least favorite part. I used to skip them completely, but now I'm like, no. To add more interest to the piece, a background really is important, and adding details is important in that background. So I make it fun for myself by adding posters with small characters on it, playing around with different shades, oranges, blues, grays, yellows, and so on. And for me, because I made the wall in the back blue first, I can go over it with a watered down orange, and you get a slight bit of color, but still the blue is going through, because this picture needed to be a bit moody. It needed to be, he is sad. Sometimes you just have to draw your character sad or in pain or in a difficult situation, because, well, only smiling characters, that's no fun at all. You need variation, and I'm not sad. Maybe 2020 isn't the best year. However, I'm not feeling sad right now. Of course, there are some days you're like, meh, I want to do something more, but I can draw at the moment. That's really important for me. However, it would be wonderful if it stopped raining, because I would like to roller skate, and at the moment, with that much rain, I'm not really wanting to go outside. I don't want to get my bearings wet and things like that. And I don't like to aquaplane on my skates. Let's keep it at that. But back to the piece. I am adding all kinds of colors right now. I use my Himi Miya Gouache palette. I have other kinds of gouache as well. However, I think the Himi is so good, and maybe not only because of the paints. Paints are good, but I have Winsor Newton, which are also pretty red, and they have really pigmented colors. However, the fact that you just can open your palette, grab a glass of water, and you can dip your paintbrush in it immediately. You don't have to squeeze it out of a tube, and it's fabulous. Maybe a bit lazy, but I have another palette as well for my gouache I have in tubes. However, it's not the same. You can add way less on your palette, because if you squeeze it all out, it doesn't fit. Then you have to use quite some of the palette already, and it's just not the same. With the Himi gouache, when you just open it, you have cups with 30 milliliters of paint, and it doesn't dry out very quickly. So that's one thing. And if it dries out, it's gouache, so you can reactivate it. Also, that can be a disadvantage in some ways. But if you have a palette, it's no problem at all. Just add a bit more water. My palette has been dried out completely out once, and I just got a little towel with some water, and I dripped some water in every cup. It reactivated. I have to stir it for a bit, but that wasn't too bad at all. And I could even just wet the paintbrush and add a few drops on the paint. That would be also sufficient. So, yeah, I absolutely love that palette. And I saw there is more coming with that kind of design. So I'm really curious about that as well. I will see about that then. But for now, I'm just painting the complete piece. I learned that you shouldn't focus too much on one part of the piece. You should spread your focus all around. Of course, the most important part needs the most attention. In this case, that would be the character. However, I am going to make the character pop a bit more by adding thicker layers of paint. The background will stay a bit muddy, watery, and not too much very bright colors. But on the character, the wings are most important, so I add a lot of red and orange and yellow to make those suckers pop. So that's cool. Yay. And the fun part was also adding those colors all over the place, on the trash bags and on the floor. I think the effect on the floor is, oh, I just love it. You really get that idea that they are giving light. Story-wise, I'm not sure if that's the way I am going for, but to paint it, it's great fun. Really great fun. So yeah, gouache. I use it a lot nowadays because I fell in love with it. And basically because I blame Himi for that. Which isn't a bad thing. No, of course it isn't. And you have to be careful if you have thick layers of gouache and you go over it with a bit of water. Within no time, you can muddy everything by mixing those paints, because you reactivate it with water. It can go mayhem quickly. And as final touches, I'm adding some rain. And you saw me in the beginning with the ruler, because I was looking for the third vanishing point I added on a piece. And it's out of the paper, so you have to measure it sometimes, just a tiny bit. And here is the final piece, colorful and moody at the same time. So I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye.